"Very well," said D'Artagnan, his eyes aflame. "Battle? It is a long time since we have had a battle, and Porthos." "Battle!" cried Porthos. "And you think you can catch him?" "Yes, if we are better mounted than he. Go then, take what guards you find here, and pursue him. You command us—" "My lord, to do so, and I sign my orders," said Mazarin, taking a piece of paper and writing some lines. "Monsieur du Vallon, your barony is on the back of the Duc de Beaufort's horse; you have nothing to do but to overtake it. As for you, my dear lieutenant, I promise you nothing, but if you bring him back to me, dead or alive, you may ask all you wish. To horse, Porthos," said D'Artagnan, taking his friend by the hand. "Here I am," smiled Porthos, with his sublime composure. They descended the great staircase, taking with them all the guards they found on their road, and crying out, to arms, and immediately put spur to horse, which set off along the Rue Saint Honor with the speed of the whirlwind. "Well, Baron, I promise you some good exercise," said the Gascon. "Yes, my captain." As they went, the citizens, awakened, left their doors, and the street dogs followed the cavaliers, barking. At the corner of the Cimetière Saint Jean, D'Artagnan upset a man. It was too insignificant an occurrence to delay people so eager to get on. The troop continued its course as though their steeds had wings. Alas, there are no unimportant events in this world, and we shall see that this apparently slight incident came near endangering the monarchy. Chapter XXV. An adventure on the high road. The musketeers rode the whole length of the Faubourg Saint Antoine and of the road to Vincennes, and soon found themselves out of the town, then in a forest, and then within sight of a village. The horses seemed to become more lively with each successive step, their nostrils reddened like glowing furnaces. D'Artagnan, freely applying his spurs, was in advance of Porthos 2 feet at the most Mousqueton, followed 2 lengths behind. The guards were scattered according to the varying excellence of their respective mounts. From the top of an eminence D'Artagnan perceived a group of people collected on the other side of the moat, in front of that part of the donjon which looks towards Saint Maur. He rode on, convinced that in this direction he would gain intelligence of the fugitive. In 5 minutes he had arrived at the place, where the guards joined him, coming up one by one. The several members of that group were much excited. They looked at the cord, still hanging from the loophole and broken at about 20 feet from the ground. Their eyes measured the height, and they exchanged conjectures. On the top of the wall sentinels went and came with a frightened air. A few soldiers, commanded by a sergeant, drove away idlers from the place where the duke had mounted his horse. D'Artagnan went straight to the sergeant. "My officer," said the sergeant, "it is not permitted to stop here. That prohibition is not for me," said D'Artagnan. "Have the fugitives been pursued?" "Yes, my officer, unfortunately. They are well mounted." "How many are there?" "4, and a fifth whom they carried away wounded." "4," said D'Artagnan, looking at Porthos. "Do you hear, Baron, they are only 4." A joyous smile lighted Porthos's face. "How long a start have they?" 2 hours and a quarter. "My officer, 2 hours and a quarter, that is nothing. Are we not—" Porthos. Porthos breathed a sigh. He thought of what was in store for his poor horses. "Very good," said D'Artagnan. "And now in what direction did they set out?" "That I am forbidden to tell." D'Artagnan drew from his pocket a paper. "Order of the king," he said. "Speak to the governor." Then, "And where is the governor?" "In the country." Anger mounted to D'Artagnan's face. He frowned and his cheeks were colored. "Ah, you scoundrel!" he said to the sergeant. "I believe you are impudent to me. Wait." He unfolded the paper. presented it to the sergeant with one hand, and with the other took a pistol from his holsters and cocked it. "Order of the king. I tell you, read and answer, or I will blow out your brains." The sergeant saw that D'Artagnan was in earnest. "Vendomois road," he replied. "And by what gate did they go out?" "By the Saint Maur gate." "If you are deceiving me, rascal, you will be hanged tomorrow, and if you catch up with them you won't come back to hang me," murmured the sergeant. D'Artagnan shrugged his shoulders, made a sign to his escort, and started. "This way, gentlemen, this way," he cried, directing his course toward the gate that had been pointed out. But now that the duke had escaped, the concierge had seen fit to fasten the gate with a double lock. It was necessary to compel him to open it, as the sergeant had been compelled to speak, and this took another 10 minutes. This last obstacle having been overcome, the troop pursued their course with their accustomed ardor, but some of the horses could no longer sustain this pace. 3 of them stopped after an hour's gallop, and one fell down.